I know many of you are also wondering the status of the $200 monthly benefit check from Chuck Schumer. Well, Chuck Schumer has released a plan to provide more than 60 million people with an additional stimulus money. Schumer, alongside Senator Warren, have said that the plan would improve the lives of millions of people and stabilize the economy. And that's good news, everybody. This plan would give senior veterans and people with disabilities who have earned this benefit by contributing to Social Security with every paycheck an additional $4,000 over the next 2 years. And researchers have also found that increasing Social Security benefits have a large and immediate, significant positive impact. In fact, there is nearly a 1-to-1 ratio between the increase in supplemental Social Security benefits and an increase in consumer spending. So, President Biden definitely should do more for the American people and send out stimulus checks. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments down below. There is a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits that I want you to know. Continue watching this video because you don't want to miss out on it. There is a new proposal on the negotiating table. This legislation could actually provide every taxpayer with a $100 one-time stimulus check once it's approved. Now everybody, here's some facts on this. The governor of Hawaii has proposed $100 refund bonuses to each taxpayer and dependent. Gas prices rise and fall, and it's nice to know that many states are doing their own duties to provide extra relief for those that are struggling. Among the governor's plans, it's a $100 refund for every taxpayer and for $100 each dependent. The governor said he will work with the legislature to get that money into people's wallets. Now, he said that the state has seen a better economic recovery from the crisis than expected. Now, the governor's initiative would cost the state $110 million from the general fund. It requires approval from the legislature, and House Speaker said it aligns with their plans to provide relief for working families. The House Speaker in Hawaii said it's something that we will definitely put on our radar screen, and we'll consider it and see if we can factor that into the state's budget this year. Now, there is also another stimulus proposal from Senate Republican Mitt Romney that's to revive the enhanced child tax credits from 2021. It could provide up to $350 in monthly payments. Romney's staff said his proposal has not been formally introduced and is currently under negotiation with both parties before being finalized.
And now I turn it over to my colleague, Representative Bruce Westerman.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you to our co-chairs of the Healthcare Task Force. And it's been an honor to work on this subcommittee with two medical doctors. I'm not a medical doctor. I got a lot of questions. Why do you want to be on the healthcare subcommittee, or on the healthcare task force and on the treatment subcommittee? And the simple reason is because healthcare affects all of us. Healthcare affects the budget and the deficit that this country is running. It's great to have my former colleague Eric Paulson here, and Sue, welcome, and to everyone else. John was talking about his patient, and I think back to my oldest son, who's now 26. When he was 1 month old, he had a respiratory disease. I'm an engineer, I'm a forester.
And programs for that require the benefit recipient to work, volunteer, or receive an equivalent amount of job training for 80 hours a month. And President Biden, all the while, says this: he wants to permanently extend the credit. Joe Manchin has called for stricter provisions on this though. And the living wage for a family of four in nearly every state is above $60,000. Some states are more expensive than others, but it takes more than $81,000 to get by in California and $88,000 in New York. Now, according to economists, adding a work requirement would actually prelude the lowest income families who need the money the most. Therefore, it's putting people in a tough situation. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments down below.
Thanks, Senator Ernst. Senator Warren, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Kendall, I want to talk about this proposal to retire 33 F-22s that's part of the Air Force's budget submission. Now, I got to say, my ears perk up anytime the Pentagon talks about wanting to cut costs, and I am inclined to support you on this. But how we got here is a real problem. So the F-22 is a fighter jet designed to establish air superiority over enemies like Russia. The Air Force started buying them from Lockheed Martin in 1999 and said we would be using them until the 2060s. Secretary Kendall, you're Secretary of the Air Force, but you used to run the acquisitions program for the whole Pentagon. So I know you know all of the issues behind this. When the Air Force started buying F-22s in quantity, was the testing and development for this aircraft complete, or were we still figuring out a number of its major capabilities?
You raise a great question.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid I don't know the answer. I was there for the F-22 Milestone B decision, the decision to start development. I was not there for the production decision.
Okay, but
But I understand where you're coming from, and I think it's really an interesting thing to pursue. The ones we're retiring are less capable. They were the first ones we bought, and they didn't have the full combat capability. So it would be worthwhile to go back and do the case study to understand why that is the case. We have a similar problem with F-35, where a lot of our earlier aircraft need a lot of modifications. And I know you're going to go to my acquisition malpractice comment in a moment.
you bet I am. But let's
Yes, it is finally happening. Congress is passing a new stimulus bill very soon. Joe Manchin is now meeting with Republican lawmakers to gain their support on President Biden's spending bill. Now, many people will be receiving an $800 stimulus check very soon, so you want to continue watching this video to never miss out on the very important stimulus check information, and we have a ton of good news to cover. So the majority of people in Colorado are eligible to receive $400 to $800 stimulus checks from the state government due to the Taxpayer Bill of Rights passed in 1992. Most full-time residents have already taken in the necessary steps to get their check mailed to them this summer, filing their 2021 state income tax return. Any full-time resident who hasn't been filed can still claim and ensure they get a check by filling out a submitting form by May 31st. However, a lot of residents, including many veterans and seniors, do not regularly file state income tax returns, and they have questions regarding their eligibility. Folks, the answer is yes. You are still eligible to receive the $400 check for single filers and $800 for joint filers if you are a full-time resident. According to Colorado Governor Jared Polis, there are additional benefits to filing state and federal income tax returns, even if the taxpayer owes little to nothing. He said filing a return ensures that any excess withholding tax is refunded, and they may also be eligible for valuable refundable state and federal credits, like the Earned Income Credit and the Child Tax Credit. This is the same requirement for people in Colorado who claim and receive payments for the 6-tier flat sales tax refund mechanism that would normally refund the money at filing time next year. All eyes are on Joe Manchin as he moves forward with negotiations on President Biden's Build Back Better bill. Reporters have asked Senator Manchin and GOP senators about the claim in a new book that Manchin says he will be willing to switch to the Republican Party if Senate Republican John Thune were the Senate GOP leader instead of Mitch McConnell. Manchin told reporters today that Republican colleagues frequently ask him about switching parties and that he never seriously considered leaving the party. The banter between Manchin and his Republican colleagues is reinforcing doubts that he will not sign on any point this year to a partisan reconciliation package to enact major elements of Biden's domestic agenda, with 50 Democrat votes and no GOP votes. Democrats also have taken note that Manchin's opposition to various Democratic initiatives appears to be playing well back home. According to a report, Manchin's job approval rating in West Virginia has jumped by 17 points compared to a year ago.